I always say it, but one of the most underrated portions of Sonic Generations are the missions. It's easy to understand why everyone fixates on the main stages, but there are entirely brand new stages waiting to be speedrun through the missions. Sure, some missions aren't that fun or interesting, but every so often they offer a challenge that main stages just can't, while at the same time giving us entirely new perspectives of these levels. For example, this Planet Wisp level is almost entirely 2D, but it has a gorgeous sunset and it has snappy and challenging level design. It's actually really fun. That being said, a lot of people probably believe that Shadow Generations had way more enjoyable missions than Sonic Generations, probably due to the lack of gimmicks. Once again, in Shadow Generations, missions are an excuse to do more with the level mechanics, but this time, you have the added bonus of expanding on the Doom powers too. One thing I will say about Shadow's missions is that they felt much shorter on average than Sonic's story. To some, that might be a positive, so they can progress the game faster, but to me, it's a damn shame there isn't more content to play over and over. A lot of these missions are 30 seconds long and don't really feel worth it to me. That's why today, I'm excited to shine some light on an overlooked mod, Remixed Challenge Acts by Matios DX. They're actually a viewer of mine, so if you're watching this, please comment pickle. I'll be honest, some of these are insanely difficult, but that's the exact type of thing I enjoy. I love overcoming challenges, and these levels are entirely overhauled to be completely original, and they live up to the title of challenge. So let's get into it. Just like in Sonic Frontiers, custom levels can be entered through stage gates, which is just a piece of immersion that I always adore. Starting right off the bat here, we're utilizing an environment that we never really see custom levels do a lot, which is the Space Colony Arc. And I think ironically, Space Colony Arc didn't actually have very many aliens in it, which is why it's really cool to see the utilization of black arms here. This is the central mechanic of this level. There are walls that you can throw them into that will destroy other enemies along the way. And I believe the actual central mechanic is the same as like the original challenge for this, which is to destroy lots of gun beetles. This is a really snappy and fun part here, dude. You bounce into the walls, bounce off them, and then target another Doom Soldier. Like, dude, it just flows so well. And here we even have the climbable walls ported directly from Sonic Frontiers, which actually works on Shadow. Funny enough. That is a really snappy level, and it's really fun to figure out. This one right here is a bit different, but like, again, this is what I'm talking about how these challenge acts are basically entire other levels that share the same theming. Like, look at this. Like, this is a sidestepping centered level where Shadow has to choose the right path simply off of his reactions, and this is actually pretty lengthy for a mission too. I mean, especially if you're playing all of these in sequence, which is what you're probably supposed to do. These are reverse dash panels, by the way, which is why I'm dodging them, because they will send you back. I didn't really get all S ranks in this, but that's for like a live stream later on, I think. It does hurt a little bit that I couldn't do it, but I'll be honest, some of these are really difficult, and I wanted to make this video. I think it's really clever that those ramps push you into a wall where you have to touch the switch. Moving on once more, we have a mechanic that I really wish was utilized in 3D. These are like the weird cylindrical things from Sonic Adventure 2. These were super fun to spin dash off of in the adventure game, but I actually find them to be really confusing to figure out in the boost formula, because I don't know like when it's safe to boost on them or not, especially with these lasers on the side here. This is definitely intended for someone that's a lot more comfortable with this mechanic than I am currently, but I still think it makes for really interesting platforming, which is why I was really excited to see Matios DX try and design an entire level around this gimmick, because I feel like in the actual game, it's underutilized to a disappointing degree. It's only in like one actual act, and I don't even remember if it's used in the missions at all. It feels very snappy the way you jump between them, like VVV, VVV. This is actually a gimmick that I wanted to utilize for a custom level, because again, this was shown, we got shown a little glimpse of this in base game, where you could platform on literal exploding missiles, but it wasn't utilized very much, so it made me really happy. It put a damn smile on my face to see how cleverly this was adapted, again by a single person. That's the most impressive part of custom levels to me, is when they're done entirely by a singular person. Like, Marios DX did not design this game, yet they have an amazing understanding of the philosophy and the mechanics that are completely unique to Shadow Generations compared to other Boost Sonic games. This felt amazing to do. I felt like a damn genius when I figured out where the perfect part was to time stop and jump off of all the missiles. That has to be one of my favorites, even though it's so simple. Like, that one's just really fun. Moving on to Rail Canyon, we have a Chaos Spear Act, and in the original game, this is one of my favorites. The level design in the original is really fun, and I very much appreciate how this is mixed up in this original stage. Like, I love the utilization of all the moving platforms and doors to, like, you know, put the balloons out of your way, out of your vision, so you have to get to them really fast. It incentivizes being physically fast. And another brilliant part of this custom level design is how it also incentivizes using chaos control to make the level a bit more manageable. Like in that section earlier where I froze those to get to the balloons. It doesn't just freeze your timer, like that's basically what people use time stop for the most in high-level Shadow Generations, is just to stop their timer. But like, the most interesting part of Shadow Generations is how it interacts with the environment, so I just find it so amazing that I can use that at multiple points to reach my objective of 30 balloons here. This is probably one of the hardest ones in my perspective. This is a one-ring mission, but they actually lie and give you 2 rings at some point. This one isn't hard at first. It slowly but gradually ramps up, which is actually a really smart way to go about level design. You want to slowly introduce ideas to players and have them apply it under pressure. Right here we get a second ring, and the whole idea is that we have to avoid both of these spike bars at different perspectives. And I'm not gonna lie, like, this mission would go hard on the Nintendo 3DS because I was really struggling with depth perception a few times here. That one, I just kind of jumped a little bit late, but it is funny how you have to go to each corner of it while dodging that big sliding spike bar. It kind of reminds me of the TV show Wipeout, if anybody watched that. But it does feel satisfying to win. Moving on here, we have a 2D act, and I guess this is a really good time to mention, I'm using the boosting aura from Sonic Generations that Shadow has. This is another mod that I will link down below. I kind of just wanted to see what it would look like. I think I prefer the aura from Shadow Generations, but I just kind of wanted to get nostalgic, and I was like, what if this was stylized like a Hedgehog Engine 1 game? I really like how it looks in the 2D perspective, which is why I wanted to bring it up. Also, this part feels really satisfying to do because you have such a small gap to actually time your homing attack through, and when Shadow homing attacks like objects that aren't enemies, he doesn't do Chaos Warp. It's an actual like regular Sonic the Hedgehog homing attack where he uses a spin ball, so you have to actually time them properly. He doesn't phase through objects. And I really do like the utilization of the yellow egg flapper there. Like, again, I just feel like there wasn't enough room for the gimmicks to be utilized in challenging ways in base game, so this is really cool. Moving on again, this is another thing that I actually complimented Skyward Castle for, the fact that we're utilizing the slide mechanic, because sliding was one of my favorite parts of Sonic Generations and Sonic Unleashed. I thought it always felt really slick to do, and that was weirdly absent from Sonic Forces, Sonic Frontiers, and Shadow Generations. It was still a part of the moveset, but it wasn't really utilized for much, so I think that's especially clever to use with these environments where you're going to be stomping a lot, because sliding is mapped to the same button as stomp, so it feels fluid and it makes sense with the different moves you're using, and I'm really surprised the spikes didn't catch me there. I think it's also really cool to apply the sliding under pressure by having spikes that can pop up if you're too slow. I don't know how I missed the ring there. Here we are into Kingdom Valley, finally. I don't know why, but I have Chun Nan's music stuck in my head right now. I really love it when custom level designers know that you can use the custom spinning animations through dash rings. That is a toggleable feature in DevTools, and it looks super professional every time it's utilized. This level is extremely fun, because we all love jumping through these rings, don't we? This isn't just a surfing level. The central mechanic, again, like the original, is to get as many rings as you can, but this is an entirely original layout where there's gimmicks like you have to hit the spring to get into that ring, and then there's a spring that shoots you to an original path. There's a narrow path to the left here that's just a straight shot with all these rings. It's really satisfying. The water dash rings are really slow compared to the orange dash rings, so it doesn't feel as good as it can, but I still really appreciate the idea here, the concept. And I especially enjoy that this was more than just a water segment like the original mission. There was some on-foot segments too, where you had to jump over these obstacles and jump into more of these blue rings. Like, there was actual platforming involved here. There's custom platform placement. This is very different from the original level layout of Kingdom Valley. Like, there is something entirely new that is being offered here, and I think that's special. Another cool part about these custom levels is that we get to reutilize scenes from Kingdom Valley that might go a little bit underappreciated because of how little they're actually shown. That's another mechanic I really love too, manually crashing through the stained glass, and also these pulleys like using their momentum to shoot you like an elastic band. That is so clever, and I really want to replicate that actually in one of my levels. Oh my god, dude, the secret path here that you can only get if you react quick enough, that was super satisfying to do. I actually did go back and restart the level a few times specifically to go out of my way and get that route. I also really appreciate the platform placement here, like the one on the left here, it twists and it turns, and the enemy placement is really fun too earlier in the level. The asset spam with the spikes looks really goofy. I'm not a huge fan of that personally, but again, this is a challenge act. It's non-canon, so it doesn't matter too much how it aesthetically appears. I also like that the level designer knew that you could land on top of that part on the right there that I went previously. And you can even see there's multiple pathways that I'm missing out on here because I'm choosing other pathways. Like, it's really fascinating how fleshed out this is for a side mission. And again, if you're playing it in sequence, it could feel like one giant level. Moving on to another 2D segment, we have a really cool segment where you have to dodge these extremely fast spike balls. I don't think they were ever quite that fast in the original game, so I feel amazing when I actually managed to dodge them perfectly. I think there's even a bottom path if you're not fast enough to dodge the very first spike ball, but we didn't see it because I'm just quick as hell, boy. I'm fast as hell. Don't underestimate my fastness. But I really like the utilization of how Shadow can actually double jump in this game compared to Sonic and Sonic Generations. So there's these really precise moments where you have to air boost in between layers of these bombs. Also, I really don't recommend hitting the bombs because they are extremely loud. I don't know why, but the explosion S-effects actually doubles up on top of each other. You can even see on the right there's another pathway I didn't even see. I love this perspective here, especially with the Hedgehog Engine 1 boost, dude. It looks perfectly utilized there. What an amazing camera angle for this one random day I decided to use this mod. And I love the custom placement of the platform geometry here because it feels like, once again, I'm just playing like a Sonic Rush level with the boosting physics and having all of these different platforming mechanics and, you know, the terrain to weave through and, you know, all these obstacles I can avoid. I find that object spam is a lot more forgivable in 2D environments because I kind of just expect levels to look like that in 2D games versus 3D games. This was a really cool mechanic that I just kind of fumbled my way through. There was certainly a more elegant way to get through there, but at this point in time I was like, but what if I got an S rank though? I don't really care to do it clean. I just want my S. And finally, we are on to another one of my favorites. The way that this seamlessly utilizes the wall breaking mechanic is the perfect example of why custom levels are so cool. The wall breaking mechanic was only used like one time throughout Sunset Heights, but here this is a central mechanic where you shoot your Chaos Spear to break these solid walls. You feel powerful. You can feel the extra energy that Chaos abilities give Shadow compared to Sonic. You feel like a badass doing this. You don't actually break walls like this in vanilla Shadow Generations. This is such a clever level, especially utilizing the underground, you know, making it look brittle because of the war, because of what's happening on the surface. Like, this is such a cool scenery, and I don't know, I'm just so impressed with the idea to utilize the breaking wall mechanic like this. This feels official. Oh, yeah, that's right. There are the timer mechanics like in Sonic Generations. I kind of forgot that existed in Shadow Generations. I guess the whole central gimmick of this level is to get the clocks so that your S rank doesn't literally deplete in 5 seconds as it shows there. You can dip into A rank, but then it will go back to S rank with enough clocks. Man, I love that custom level designers utilize Shadow sidestepping a lot more than the official designers, because his sidestepping is completely unique from Sonic. Sonic is just straight angled in a straight line, but Shadow, he goes diagonal because he's got air shoes, you know? And it's really fun to utilize the different nuances between both hedgehogs. I also very much appreciate the custom camera angles in this, because this is utilizing a base from another level in base Shadow Gens missions, but there are little pieces that are different about this. Like, this section feels a lot longer as well, because we are putting all these extra spike balls in the road. And I like that if you're clever enough and you're attentive enough, you can go on slightly different pathways that give you just enough extra clocks. And here we are on the famous rain level of Sunset Heights. I love this aesthetic. This is the kind of aesthetic that you would assume that you would see in like Sonic Generations side missions. But like, look at this, dude. We get custom ramps, we get custom falling platforms, you know, as if this was developed by actual Sonic team. And this was one of my favorite missions in vanilla Shadow Gens, where you had to utilize your moveset to aggressively hit as many of these orange rings as you can. And I'm sure if you stall enough in that one section, you can hit all of the orange rings at top there. But yeah, that one's kind of difficult with the timer. It requires a much higher skill ceiling than the base game. But this level right here is, I think, by far my #1 favorite. This is the most clever thing in the entirety of this mod. I did not even know that you could surf off of the pipes of water when they're chaos controlled. I had no idea that even existed in the base game, and this is a whole mission that's dedicated to showing off that extremely niche interaction. And not only just that, but you can literally freeze chaos control underneath of it to create it into a solid platform, and it shoots you vertically at a 90-degree angle. I didn't even know these physics were possible, but it creates makeshift platforms exclusive to Time Stop. It is extremely cool, and oh my god, I wish that level was longer. I need to see somebody make an entire level based around that. And here we are in Sonic Frontiers. It's so weird seeing Chaos Island and just Frontiers in general appear so often nowadays between Cross Worlds, Shadow Generations, etc, etc. Because man, I already have hundreds of hours in Frontiers as is. Shadow's not supposed to be in Frontiers. This already feels weird. But then we got Cross Worlds where everybody's just invited to the Starfall Islands, man. And I gotta say, I really adore the momentum that each balloon has here. Like, I love it when you homing attack the bottom balloon and you shoot upwards into a bigger balloon. Like, that feels so goddamn good, and there's so many opportunities for skips here, but I don't really recommend it because you will probably miss your quota for balloons in the top right there. That's another one that just feels blatantly fun. It's not too special, it just feels clean. This one right here reminded me a lot of Metal Harbor, actually, in Sonic Adventure 2. Like that one section where you have to homing attack chain all the beetles to get the golden beetle and whatnot, but it's just kind of like one continuous long level in the sky, which is very fitting for the atmosphere of Chaos Island element. Like, you got all the clouds at the bottom there. And, I mean, I really adore the usage of these, like, alien glowing platforms in the sky, floating. Like, they got some kind of, like, special engineering inside of them. This section here with the static special cameras where you have to take a moment to react and be like, oh shit, I actually have to Chaos Spirit these enemies before I homing attack them. That feels amazing, and I think it's due in part to the static camera, because you just watch Shadow move around while you're idly still, and you just have to analyze the situation in a split second. And that is one of the best uses of Chaos Control. I've done that in one of my own custom levels as well, where you have to freeze the middle point of the moving platforms to create a straight path for the boost. All in all, fantastic level. Amazing use of moving platforms and custom cameras. This one, I don't remember being big on, but I really appreciate the idea here. This reminds me a lot of Metropolitan Highway from Sonic Forces, where they had these moving platforms. I think this segment right here is directly inspired from that level, actually. The one thing that I didn't like about it is that, like, the whole idea is that you have to jump on these platforms and almost immediately jump afterward to avoid the obstacles that come with you, because there's a lot of momentum with the speed. Like right here, I basically immediately jump as I land on them. The idea is really cool, but I found the execution to be very frustrating when I was trying to learn it, because it kind of seemed to stray away from the whole idea of slowly presenting ideas to the player and having them apply it under pressure. But once I got used to it, the level was a lot more fun. Like, it's a very simple mechanic, like you just jump immediately as you land on the platform, but it was really cool. And there were alternate pathways if you didn't jump fast enough. This one right here, this was a really interesting one to learn, because you have to utilize not necessarily swinging off of the purple orbs for Squid. You have to just tap it so that it instantly like shoots itself into the orb. Right here, you have to kind of position yourself upwards and then tap yourself into the orb. There is a lot of precision and understanding required for Squid here, and this was an extremely cool segment. The way that Mateos DX actually utilizes the grates that Squid can fall through, because there were several segments where you turn into Shadow and then you turn into Squid, and you can only get through the grates by using Squid. I don't know. It's just a really smart utilization of the two movesets between Shadow and Squid. I think right here, I actually went to an optional pathway for no reason. There is a collectible there if you wanted to get all collectibles in this custom set of challenges. But yeah, that one was also designed really well, and I see why people are constantly asking for more Squid level design. I was really surprised to see that movie levels were also adapted into their own stages. I feel like custom stages with the movie assets have some insane potential for aura farming, because I mean, Keanu Shadow and the movie Shadow jump ball is so clean, man. And damn, the way that I double jump through the orange rings in this level, it feels amazing. And this is one of the few levels in Shadow Generations that really loves utilizing these slopes that transition into wall running. So I feel like that was just beautiful to stare at. That was insanely satisfying to do. And if you can't push through the difficulty of the main levels, the movie levels are extremely fun, and I think they're worth the download on their own. Right here, this is reminiscent of the beginning of a regular part of the main level, but the whole central gimmick here is that you have these vertically moving platforms that go up and down, and you use the momentum from them to jump really high in certain places. And of course, you can also use Chaos Control if you ever get it, to kind of slow down the pace of the level if you need. I kind of wish that one was longer too. There were some really interesting ideas at play there. And man, it's just a shame that so many of these are so short. But that being said, I feel like you as a player should definitely give these a go. They're very challenging. I made it seem like it went by really quickly, but my own personal session was around an hour and a half long, just trying to learn all of these. And I didn't get all S ranks, which kind of hurts my soul a little bit, but I wanted to get this video out here as quick as I could. That being said though, I will very likely try to get every S rank on a future live stream, because I do stream here on the YouTube channel and on Twitch. It kind of just depends on what you want to do. And if you're new here, consider checking out my Sonic modding playlist, as that's what I usually do. But I like to cover platforming content, both fan-made and official, so I will be continuing to cover as many mods as I can that catch my eye, as well as Sonic Cross Worlds, because whoo boy, I have a lot to say about the lore and the mechanics of that game. And I also want to give a colossal thank you to my supporters over on Twitch. These are people that are giving me a little extra to do what I do best. And if you become become a member here on YouTube, you will also be in the credits of my videos, as well as gain access to entirely original videos that I edit just for you.